Hello and Jumbo. Welcome to today's presentation. And I am excited to introduce to you a new way of thinking about how we build our AI systems and tech for tomorrow. So, today we'll talk about the culture compass, how to use culture to build AI systems that respect all three spheres of society. My name is Stella Njogo, all the way from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'll tell you more about myself at the end, but for now, let's jump right in. So imagine two scenarios. There's an AI system that is able to facilitate people's wants and desires. It can translate culture into stories and memories that people understand. It can collect and translate data into trends and forecasts that help people, businesses make better decisions. It can be able to allow people to access what is really true and what is dependable in a world that has information overload. And even better, it can be able to help people who are not native to English or the larger global languages to easily access AI systems. And then imagine a second type of AI system, one where you cannot be able to translate culture because there's not enough information available, or a system that gatekeeps certain data that forecasts are only available to a few people, or a system that is so guarded and measured that you can't be able to differentiate the truth from the lie, so you can't fact check, or a system that also has it embedded local languages for native access. This is what we call embedded AI censorship, and this starts with building systems that have bias. And this bias starts from right in the beginning. So today is International Day for Information Access. But as we celebrate this day, we need to remember that the right to know is equal to the right to context, culture, and agency. That it's not just about having open data. People need more than that. They need context, they need heritage, and they need systems that enable them to express and enjoy human dignity. Information without culture is not real access. And how do we start adding culture to AI innovation? So, first of all, I'll introduce you to the three social systems according to the culture compass. So, the first system is around institutions or legacy places. So, this could be governance, public policy, think health, think education, the major facets of our societies are what we call the institutional social system. And then we have the communal social system, which is our shared values, our oral traditions, and our community memory. And this could be as small as the nuclear family or as large as national pride. And the other social system is the individual agency system. And these are pretty much represented by tools that help you make better personal choices, help you build and discover your voice, and help you make better decisions, be it in business, in relationships, or in agriculture, if that's what you do. So, how does AI innovation usually show up in these different institutions? So you find that for the legacy institutions, AI innovation is often focused on optimizing efficiency, and for the communal or collective system, it's often focused on culture archiving, but sometimes it's not very individual friendly because it doesn't have enough context to ground you into what the community or the people believe at that point in time with a historical context. And also, innovation around the individual agency is often too focused on helping people experience more convenience, sometimes at the cost of grounding this system in legacy institutions or grounding this system in the communities that the people come from. So this is a good example of how AI innovation is often focused on only one social system, which is problematic. So this problem is what I call the single sphere AI. So when we design AI in isolation, racing for first place, ignoring integration, we magnify bias, we fracture cultural memory, and we weaken public trust. This race where the winner wins, this race and mentality that only the winner takes all, is the beginning of us embedding bias into everything that we are building. So it could show up in different ways, like when you make AI to help a government institution, but this app is not grounded in public trust. Or when we look at the widely available LLMs that are there in the market, they usually don't cater to people who don't speak the main global languages, especially English. And this by itself makes AI exclusionary, because people need to be fluent or have like a heavy command of the language to be able to benefit fully from all the aspects of the tool. And that's where the culture compass comes in. So the culture compass is a practical framework for using culture as infrastructure to build technologies, programs, and products of tomorrow. And it is a visual representation of how all the three systems need to work together to create a holistic three-sphere technology or tool or system. The three have to go together for it to remove, or to at least attempt to erase all of the bias that is already embedded in how we build. So when you're building for legacy systems, for example, when you build only using a single sphere AI, then it's going to lead to opacity and it's going to reduce public oversight. But there are some people who are attempting to get things right. A good example would be this tool from Kenya called Sauti ya Bajeti, which translates to the voice of the budget. So this is an AI tool that is accessed through WhatsApp, that makes budget and policy information and decisions available to the everyday Kenyan, to enable feedback and to strengthen accountability for the government. So this is a great first step in the right direction. And when more governments begin to think like this, then there's progress. Of course, of course, there's always a question of how well is it taken up by the people, and that is a question of public trust. But that's a problem for another day. However, in the thinking behind this system, love that it integrates all of the three systems to make this an intrinsically accessible tool from the beginning. And then when we are building for communal or collective systems, when you build the single sphere mindset, there's a risk of erasing the culture or having just very homogeneous narratives that focus on only one sphere of the community. Like, for example, a loss of intergenerational memory. Right now, there's already a youth bias in internet culture. And when we only get insights, ideas, stories from the young people, then we lose that context of people who have come before us, even the people who came way before us, the ancestors, and the people who will come after us will not understand how to plug themselves into this community. So a good example of a good community system is one that is built in New Zealand by Tehiku Media, and it is built to preserve the Maori culture. And I feel like this is a good example because there's a merger between the different layers of the culture. There was an intergenerational approach towards building this app. And I think this is a good example of embedding other social systems within what you're trying to build. And then we have the individual agency system. So these are tools that pretty much enable people to make better decisions in different aspects of their life. And when you build the single sphere AI system, then the risk that you stand is that you're going to get passive, disempowered users who are subject to the algorithm. They are slaves to the algorithm, which, because of the single sphere outlook, is going to be limited in context, is going to be limited in, like established background from legacy systems. And an example of what that looks like in practice when you don't build a single sphere system, when you build systems that are grounded in community and grounded in legacy, you get things like these two. So in Brazil, there's this tool Solinfec, by Soliftek, pardon my pronunciation, where they use AI to monitor and care for every part of farm plots for the farmer. So I love this because it is grounded in the realities of doing farming in Brazil. It understands the topography, the vegetation. It has all of the cultural context within Brazil, and it uses that information to help scan people's farms and to give you advice on what to plant or what not to plant. And then the other example is Semanami from Kenya. And the other system I'd like to introduce you to is a bot from Kenya called Semanami. So Shujaz Inc. from Kenya has developed this AI bot that helps young people make better decisions with their sexual health. So why I love this bot is because it's easily accessible through WhatsApp, so that caters to individual agency. And it is also grounded in legacy because it recommends different service providers to young people who need extra care, who need medical services. So there's a partnership between Shujaz, which is a media brand, with established medical professionals. So it's grounded in real medical insights. And yes, it's a fun bot that should speak the youth language, but it also makes sure that the advice that it gives is grounded in truth, is grounded in real facts, and quickly refers people to experienced professionals when they need follow-up or further help. So this is a perfect example of how to integrate the three spheres when you're building an AI system. Now, if you are building your own system, how will you be able to integrate culture into the roadmap of what you are building? Here are 3 steps that I came up with, very easy steps that you can use to think through what you need to do. So 1, which social sphere does your system serve? You need to diagnose that and be very clear. Usually most systems serve one sphere more heavily. So just pick the one sphere that your tool serves. And then 2nd, identify gaps. What risks are there because you are not speaking to the other 2 spheres? If you are serving the individual, what risks exist because you don't involve the community or legacy institutions? Write all of them down and be clear about that. And then once you have all the gaps identified, now it's time to build bridges. So decide which ones are most priority and then start building features, partnerships, and governance that connect all 3 spheres. And this can be your product development roadmap. And now, so building with a culture compass enables us to build AI tools that are not only useful but facilitate culture and progress without embedding bias. And this bias is what exactly leads to censorship. From the example I shared in the beginning, AI that facilitates translation, forecasting, native language access, and fact checking exists because it was made with intention from the beginning. And when you don't have this intention from the beginning, then we end up building AI systems that eventually censor people and prevent people from accessing basic human dignity. With this, I'd like you to remember that AI systems are social systems, and they mold our institutions, they mold our communities, and they mold ourselves. They mold how we see the world and how we see our place in the world. And therefore, my charge to you today is that you need to use a culture compass as a guide to build AI and futures that are inclusive, that are collaborative, and that respect all 3 social spheres. And therefore, this is a reminder of what the compass looks like. The 3 social spheres are legacy systems, collective systems, and individual agency systems. And when you keep that in mind, we are able to not just give people access to information, but we give them access to truth, to context, and to agency. And when we do that, we build AI systems that will outlast us and that will benefit every single person in the society. So, therefore, thank you so much for listening all this way. My name is Stella Njogo. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I am a strategic communications leader and a culture strategist. I am very interested in work that shapes new collective futures that are grounded in shared values, where culture is central and it's leveraged as infrastructure to design the products, programs, and technologies of tomorrow. So, if the culture compass has sparked ideas or curiosity around how you can use this in whichever part of the world, please do get in touch. My contacts are here. And thank you so much for listening all this time. Kwaheri and bye. Until next time.